Maria Bartiromo had enough of Jared's excuses. Check it out.
What's being proposed is a separate, completely different identification just for voting.
Completely different identification? No, wait a minute.
During an appearance in Fox Business, Moskowitz was going on all sorts of tangents, arguing against the Save America Act. But Maria wouldn't let it slide and was quick to shut him down.
Yeah, let them use their driver's license.
Above the driver's license, because the driver's license issuance has been abused.
That's what today's
Hey, so Vernon say this shit got the ballers written all over. Man, I don't know about that. The ballers pull some shit, but fucking with Dre.
Yes,
damn, it's the only lead we got though. So go get with Vernon and see what's what. Sniff it out, man. I think you'll make the right call.
And so I have no problem with photo ID. We use photo ID here in Florida. It works very well, but that's somewhat different than what's being proposed. What's being proposed is a separate, completely different identification just for voting.
Completely different identification? No, wait a minute. Because the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, is requiring voters to show ID to vote. And they also require a citizenship so that you stay with the law and, in fact, only have American citizens voting. So, again, will you vote yes to that act?
Yeah, so again, there's no evidence that non-citizens are voting. Maria, there were 60 to 70 court cases over the 2020 election in which they made accusations that non-citizens were voting, and they lost all of those cases.
We heard Hakeem Jeffries make a similar point, saying he supports voter ID in his home state of New York. Yet, for some reason, he opposes applying the same standard at the federal level. But the fact the Democrats go all the way back to 2020 as a counter to the Save America Act doesn't really address what's happening now. Since then, several states have run their own reviews and found a small number of non-citizens on voter rolls. For instance, a review in Texas removed 278 voting records due to confirmation of non-citizenship. Iowa reported 277 similar cases, and South Dakota 273. While those might appear negligible, it's true they exist, and given how some recent elections were decided by narrow margins, those numbers should be at zero, because the goal here should be simple: making sure every vote cast is legitimate and counted properly.
I'm for people using their driver's license.
The law is the law, and it is that American citizens vote in American elections. So having an ID to vote would be in step with the law. So are you going to vote for the law?
If they put forward a bill that says you can use your driver's license or your state-issued identification to vote, I support that. We have that in Florida, but the SAVE Act goes way beyond that. It would affect women whose birth certificate doesn't match their driver's license. It will depress turnout by requiring people to go and re-register to go get this new
Congressman, that's not true.
No, it is. It is absolutely true. This is about depressing turnout. It's not about making sure non-citizens vote.
That is not true either, Congressman. The SAVE Act is a requirement for ID to vote. Period.
Yeah, let them use their driver's license.
There's a reason he's calling for driver's license, and that's because sanctuary states have been issuing those to non-citizens, even illegal immigrants. According to a piece from the Center of Immigration Studies, quote, 19 states plus DC and Puerto Rico have been handing out. And yes, all of them are led by Democrats. Utah is an exception. Now, to be fair, those can't be used for federal purposes already. But still, if there's overwhelming public support for standardizing voter registration rules across the country with the Save America Act, why push back against it? But when Moskowitz was presented with the facts, instead of addressing them directly, he tried to shift the goalpost again, making even less sense. Take a look.
He said you can use your driver's license to fly on a plane, and use your driver's license to vote.
And your colleagues don't want it. Chuck Schumer said it's dead on arrival to have an ID to vote. That's what I'm saying. The driver's license is an adequate form of identification to vote. But your colleagues do not want any ID to vote. Why? Because it sounds like they would like illegals to vote. That's what it sounds like if you're against an act to require citizenship and an ID to vote. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, and I support using your driver's license to vote. That's what we have here in Florida. It works really well. If the bill was you have to use your driver's license to vote, I would support it. It could be a one-line bill, Maria.
Yeah.
One line.
Okay. How do we know that the driver's license is going to be adequate if you have heard stories that they're giving driver's licenses to illegals?
Again, there's no evidence that non-citizens are voting in our elections, Maria. There's none.
Well, there's one case where a pet actually voted in one election, and it sounds like something out of a movie. You see, a California woman is currently charged with 5 felonies for illegally registering her dog to vote using mail-in ballots. It actually worked the first time, in the 2021 gubernatorial recall election, but the dog's vote was rejected in the 2022 primary. And what's even worse and more insane is how the case came to light. It wasn't uncovered through a government investigation. The woman reported it herself. It's an absurd case, but it further proves why we need better laws to safeguard the entire election process. Now mind you, the opposition to this bill is coming from the party that uses identification before letting anyone into their national convention. But when Jared ran out of talking points, he kept going back to 2020, and that's when Maria stepped in, shutting it all down.
Where's the evidence? Where's the court cases? There's none of that.
We have seen many cases, in fact, that illegals have, in fact, tried to vote. You even have illegals driving big trucks and they can't even read the signs because they're in English.
Again, Maria, dozens and dozens and dozens of court cases over the 2020 election. All of them
So what
lost.
you're saying is, if in fact the bill is adjusted to require an ID to vote, that's all, you just want a clean bill that says, yes, you can have an ID to vote, you will vote for it.
Yeah, if it's exactly that, like what we have here in Florida, where I go and they take my driver's license, they put it into the machine, and I go and I get my ballot, I'm totally good with that.
Well, there's a passport card that is being used as the actual ID that is necessary now above the driver's license because the driver's license issuance has been abused.
Now, to put what Maria just said into perspective, there's a new rule from the Federal Motor Carrier Authority that, quote, bars immigrants who are asylum seekers, refugees, or DACA recipients from obtaining commercial driver's licenses. Because of that change, around, quote, 200,000 immigrant truckers will begin to lose their CDLs as they expire in the coming years. Sure, the program had been in place for years now, but due to regulation changes during the Biden years, the number of people receiving it practically exploded. And that's just one example in one industry. So imagine the real numbers on the national level. The bottom line is simple. Democrats are once again opposing something just because it was proposed by someone they dislike. Had it been Obama or the Clintons, this would have been marketed as the best thing since sliced bread. Great to be back in Tampa. Please have a seat.
It is what it is when you just listen to the bullshit dealing from Republicans, dealing from Democrats. It's like we just got a whole bunch of bullshit going on. Dealing with people that we got in charge, that's a bunch of fucking liars. It is what it is. And I can't make nobody realize how much we being lied to. All I can do is remind you that start thinking for yourself. I'm just saying.